Bullet Club. For life.
What's up, everybody? First of all, I want to say that this video is protected under Fair Use Law Section 107. This is for educational purpose. There is some speculation, there is stuff like that. I am reacting to FaZe video. I'm going to present some things that he's subtly addressing but has not addressed yet. My personal opinion, I'm going to back it up with case law, other things of that nature, and use some examples of previous FaZe members and FaZe information and documentation that's come out to better help you understand and maybe put things in perspective, so that way FaZe may better have a chance of understanding, or you may better have an understanding of what's going on. So we're going to react to this. I'm going to pause the video every now and then to talk about it and go back and forth, and we'll see how this goes, everyone. Let's get into it.
So I'm making this video so I at least can explain some things before I go into detail for detail. I know a lot of people are saying, you're milking this, just tell us already, This is a decade-long problem, man, with a lot of legal shit around it. So now it's turned into multiple problems. It's not just the initial problem I had in the beginning, it's a lot deeper than that. And yes, I'm gonna say this now because they're probably gonna try to say, well, he's only doing this because we owe him money and he's mad. They do owe me money, yes, and they haven't taken care of me, yes, and the money that I bought the Counter-Strike team for, it took them 6.
So we're going to pause right here, and I'm going to talk about this here. It won't pay unless I sign an NDA to never speak on what they do. So they're withholding money, earnings, shares, revenue, and stake in the company for a lot of things and a lot of reasons. Some of my speculation in regards to this is the fact that he's one of the primary original members, owners, shareholders, etc. in FaZe. They don't want him to go on this documentation and go this route, because they know how harmful, whether it be slander, whether it be actual fact, case, lawsuit, whatever else, what have you. They'd rather take the silence and go route, where they silence you, they give you a cut, you go away. Maybe you no longer work with the company, address the company, or are a member of the company, whatever the case may be, or the fact may be. This is something that he's discussing and we're talking about. We're going to press on now.
Because you pay me back, yes. I never got $1 or a brand deal, yes. That's all. They're gonna say that, and that is a frustration of mine. But I obviously held that in for years. I held that frustration in for years, and it was never the reason that I was gonna do this or speak publicly. Because if they just owed me money, I would have handled it a different way. This is a lot deeper than that, and a lot of my brothers don't see the actual issue here. They are being taken advantage of. I have to be careful with what I say. So it's, yes, I did get fucked over, but that's not it. And what made me think about it is like, dude, if I'm one of the biggest shareholders, I'm one of the founders, I'm one of the main people of this brand, and they're gonna fuck me over, like, who else won't they do that to? And when I said, like, it's easier to sit back and take the money.
And we're also going to take into effect that this happened again in 2019, and it was settled in 2020 with Turner Tfue. When Tfue had this issue, he was on what was known as a rookie contract or a 5-year starter plan. He had this issue. Ricky, other members of the CEO, lawyers and stuff like that, so that wasn't the case. Issue everything else of that nature. It was settled out of it, and we're going to go into that right here. As you can state right here, the suit shined a spotlight on labor and employment law issued in the rapidly growing esports and gaming industry. In May of 2019, Tfue filed 2 suits against FaZe Clan in California. Under the Talent Agency Act, he claimed the contract with FaZe allowed the organization to collect up to 80% of the revenue he earned for third parties and prevented him from signing lucrative sponsorship deals. He labeled himself as an artist, not an athlete, in order to take advantage of the TAA, which is the Talent Agency Act, and was seeking to sever ties with the organization. This was later settled, and to go into further detail, this is some rough case law on what the act is, and a lot of it has to do with procurement. And there's many case studies here. For example, in Kennery versus Singer, negotiations of the engagement, are an essential element in procuring with the meaning under the section guideline of 7000.4. In the intention of the respondent to actively negotiate terms of specific proposed engagements, color the intentions with regard to the entire engagement. What that's saying is, if you identify as an artist versus a talent, or versus a creator versus a professional, a player, whatever else, you are to be protected under the TAA as well as the state which you're residing in. This has been further expanded upon, and it's also become something bigger now, known as the Entertainment Contract Act in majority of other states. My state is one of them, where it not only applies to actors, extras, independent contractors, it applies to gamers, content creators, and influencers as well. As long as you're in any form of the entertainment industry and you identify as an artist or an independent contractor and stuff of that nature, you are also protected under law. And that follows under procurement, as well as voiding the management agreement. That is also a factor as well, but it's not something as good because it deals with a lot more of the licensing agreements and other stuff of that nature. I don't want to go specifically into that one. And you're also protected by the labor commissions if not reached in California and all of these states as well. For example, the phenomenon is not limited to California management and the California artists. There have been cases involving artists and managers from many states outside of California, including cases involving New York managers and New York artists, with none of the parties situated in California. Typically, any nexus to the California is sufficient for the Labor Commission to accept jurisdiction. A concert in California, a publisher in California, a record label in California, filming in California, a movie studio in California. Many entertainment artists, managers, and deals have some relationship to California and therefore regulated by the California Labor Commission. This has also been expanded upon under the Entertainment Act to welcome in all these states that perform movies, traveling circuses, stuff of that nature, movies, concerts, anything like that that has artists or independent contractors. They now fall under this. As a matter of fact, the other situation that we're going to talk about is regarding the WWE in California was a structure. The lawsuit was not based in California, but because all of the talent and everything else rode in there, it broke down in the fact that they hired them under independent contractors, even though they have an exclusive licensed contract which now applies to gaming, content creating, influencing, and stuff of that nature as well. If you identify as an independent contractor or an influencer, you are to be protected, and the state and the government can protect you, and it does fall under the TAA Act, which is amazing. And for that, to give perspective into this case specifically, a talent or independent contractor is free from the control and direction of the company in its performance of the work, whether you're performing in the ring, on stage, on land, in your personal space. As long as you're contracted as an independent contractor, you're good and protected by the act. Additionally, that way the work they do outside the usual course of the company / business, and the worker maintains independent business in the same field outside of the company. So that means if you want to, you are able to have gaming platforms, brand deals, associations, other stuff of that nature. And this bill enforces it, and it also applies to everything else and has been further upon since 2022. I'm not going to go into all the details. I'm not going to go into everything. I'm not a legal advisor. I'm not giving legal counsel. I'm speaking it to how I understand it, how it's been explained to me, and how it affects me as a content creator and an influencer and a gamer as a whole. Additionally, in this, I want to give one more quote. WWE has long classified its performers as independent contractors despite exclusive contracts and other arrangements that would seem to indicate that they are employees, a distinction that denies its wrestler an array of legal benefits including health insurance, pensions, and other common labor protections. Thus, after California bill's passage, alarm bells soon started sounding among wrestling fans and the industry observers. The question became whether WWE, which between 2017 and 2018 held 38 live events in California and whose wrestlers very clearly do not appear to pass the ABC test, could continue to tour the most popular states in the United States, whether it could run into issues in other states should pass similar bills. That's the big key factor. If it wasn't for this case and WWE losing this, and TAA in California being the main governmental basis to pass these rules, these laws, and everything else going forward, we wouldn't have these opportunities, and there wouldn't be so many people speaking out about it. With regards to Tfue, you saw it with Nip Mercs from the other side of the spectrum, from going to 100 Thieves to FaZe Clan, and everything else of that nature. It's a very big factor, and it's a very big issue on why we're even talking about this today. It's also within the time frame as well when Turner's case was being applied as well in 2018, 2019, and in 2020 with the settlement. Just some context there. Let's go back into the video.
I didn't make one. It's not what I mean, but I do have shares that are worth money right now. Who knows what the future holds, right? Who knows what the future holds? I just don't feel like this is a very halal interaction. I don't feel like this is very transparent, safe, honest. I don't feel none of that. It's a lot of like reassurance of stuff that's never gonna come true, and every single person knows that, but they still fall for it. I don't know why. It's the corruption in the background. It's people that get involved that aren't part, like they're not like us, bro. And that's the reason I'm fighting so hard, is because I'm fighting for the future me's. People that are like me, people that sacrifice their life, their childhood to do this shit and to build this shit. They deserve what comes, not the fucking people that were talking shit about us 10 years ago, saying you guys are wasting your time, then come in now and own most of the shit and give themselves what they want, take advantage of us because we're dumb and young and don't know business like that. I don't want that to happen to you guys. I want to learn.
And to give some dialogue and some understanding towards this, 10 years ago, the content creation and influencer space was in a very different area. It was the Wild West. For people that wanted to be independent contractors, content creators, influencers, and stuff of that nature, you could do it, but it was a much harder avenue. So a lot of people turned to trying to sign with FaZe, trying to sign with Source, trying to sign with Optic, some of the original members. And those that couldn't get in or sell their clips to be in Sniper Clips of the Week, whatever else would have you, or who couldn't get paid in that avenue, they chose what were known as multi-channel networks, such as Machinima, Screw Attack, Rhett and Link, Smosh TV, stuff of that nature. They tried to partner Maker Studios. They tried to partner with these groups, and they would take advantage of everybody. And they would say, well, this isn't worth this if you stick with us, kid. And those contracts were very heavily favored in honor of the business because we were young, dumb, and stupid. We didn't know what we were getting into. We didn't understand the structure of the contract. We just saw money, the ability to make money, the ability to push our content out, get on YouTube, get on Justin TV, which is now Twitch, to get on MLG, to get the exposure and the opportunity that we were looking for, seeking after and wanting to come our way. It's a very different way. And a lot of those companies really took advantage of everybody. Some prime examples was Maker Studios when they were going under and they were being bought by Disney, and that whole argument of everything else going on back then. There was a big issue that a majority of content creators within the space that were originals who had been with Maker Studios prior to the buyout were owed tens of millions of dollars. This included Markiplier, this included PewDiePie, this included Game Theory, this included many independent contractor creators and stuff of that nature. They were owed tens of millions of dollars because this MCN, this multi-channel network, was taking advantage of them and was being bought out by a huge commercial network, and that commercial network felt they didn't have an obligation or reason to pay these people. FaZe Rain is very much in the right saying that he wants to protect and help people avoid these types of situations and these types of issues from taking place and or happening for the next generation.
Learn that lesson. I want to take the L, which I already did, by the way, and teach you guys about it. That's what I've said about everything. With my injury, with everything in life, every L I've took, I try to spread the wisdom that I got from that to y'all. That's why I do all this. And I feel like it should show more because I'm a big shareholder and I'm willing to give it all up for this. Because I care, because I genuinely care about FaZe. I care about what it did for the community. I care about how it just opened up so many doors for a lot of people for different things. I think it's beautiful, and I want it to always mean that. I don't want these people to come in and ruin the brand that I sacrificed my childhood for. I don't want people to come in and just milk it and do collab after collab that do bad, by the way, but it's just like they think the logo has a fan.
And to break this part, this is the evolution of FaZe a lot of people didn't really like, but the younger generation from the new target key demographic from the ages of 12 to 25 are very interested and they care about. Who's FaZe wearing next? What champion? Are they partnering with Balenciaga? Are they doing XYZ collaboration and working with people? And even moving into the NFT and crypto space. This is all being brought on by the newer generation of content creator, influencer, and it's being pushed to the board of directors, the public relations people, to the people who make the decisions that are suit and ties, that are well beyond their years of understanding what content creation, what influencing, and what gaming and everything else that FaZe originally stood for and was idolized for. They don't understand. There's a huge disconnect, but they're telling these younger content creators and influencers to do it. And after collab after collab after collab, we're seeing a huge disconnect with content creator, logo, and talent and people who are associating with the brand. It's becoming a very big issue, but it's anything to get a bag, to get yours, to make money. Now, there's nothing completely wrong with that, but you got to understand to pick and choose wisely. FaZe Clan has also been scrutinized many times for working with cryptocurrency, with CSGO gambling websites, as well as NFTs and cryptocurrency, the biggest being the Save the Kins coin, with all of those people that were involved and included. Also, the shift in transformation from making video games to doing vlogs, to IRL streams to working on different types of information and documentation like that has made a huge shift. Let's not look back when Logan Paul and Jake Paul were some of the biggest content creators on the space who came over from Vine. They were doing vlogs, they were doing comedy, they were doing sketches, they were doing reactions and everything else of that nature. And Ricky FaZe Banks, his big response to that was starting the Clout House with Rice Gum and everybody else of that nature. And the Clout House was such a huge pivotal point in getting a lot of the FaZe brand over and creating a subgenre and a subclass of content creation, influencing, and marketing and branding out there that we got the whole YouTube rapper beef with Rice Gum and everything else of that nature. It was a completely different subculture that was being disconnected and disassociated what the intent and the original vision for FaZe Clan was, which started with Call of Duty clips and getting into esports and gaming as a whole. Sure, there needs to be an evolution in content creation and in influencing, but that evolution can be harmful, especially if you try and hammer just collab, brand down people's throat to where your original brand, your original logo, and the original intent of a majority of us older content creators and influencers know is phase up no longer applies or need not apply going forward.
Base. Like the logo is a person. Everyone's like, oh my god, I can't wait to see the logo. No, the logo represents a collection of people that make people feel a certain way. That's what the logo was. Like, they don't get this shit. They're not from our world. They don't consume our content. They don't feel the same way we feel. They don't really care about our fans. They're numbers to them. I've met, how many fucking fans have I met? I don't even fucking know.
This is another key factor with a lot of these new content creators and these influencers and the young guns and the up and comers. They don't see their fans and their viewers as people. And that's conditioning done by the higher ups, the bigwigs in the suits, as well as themselves. And this is where this whole new subculture of obsessing over the numbers, obsessing over, your viewership, your likes, your ratios, and everything else of that nature has come into effect. These newer generation and younger generation content creators and influencers have been taught that if you're not meeting XYZ goal, you're no value, you're no purpose, you're no good. If you're not catching W's, you're taking the L plus ratio. They don't see anybody as a human in a one-to-one interaction, which older content creators have that passion and they understand. Whether they're gathering 5 viewers or 10 million, they'll take their time to try and invest, even if it's a minute of their time, to acknowledge and accept the fans as people and as someone who can achieve and live the dream and achieve the success that they have as well. And that it's a shared symbiotic connection, not a parasitic where I just leech off of you, but you see no return and you just give while I take. And that's a huge problem with a lot of the new content creators and influencers in the space. These bigwigs, these commercialized companies, these brands, everything else are pushing them to drive this type of content and view this type as a ratio in ones and zeros versus a human to human, then numbers and ratios as they will come. That's my personal take on it, and I think that's also what Rain is talking about, especially when he's introducing and he's talking about how he acknowledges and had so many fans talk about how they've changed their lives and he's changed theirs.
Since I was 15 years old, I met my first fan. I meet them all the time. I love you guys. I see you guys in person. Any person that's ever met me in real life, tell them how I've treated you. For real. I love my fans. I know I do. And all my fans end up being the creators or the fans, right? They end up being consumers and they end up supporting FaZe and all these brands. But they don't even know who they're supporting at this point. Like, people support it.
And that's another key factor. Outside of the people that are shoved down your throat on various social media platforms or influencer platforms or even long or short form content platforms, do you even know who you're supporting? Are they even associated with the brand? Are they part of the subsection like the Cloud House, etc., what have you? Are they even a mainline member of FaZe? What is their purpose? What is their intent? What is their existence within the FaZe brand and the FaZe ecosystem? All of that has been lost. People identify the logo and say, oh, cool, well, this person must be there, and into that. There are some outliers. There are some people within it, but the newer generation, a lot of these content creators up and coming, you're not supporting them. Or you're supporting them, but you're not supporting the brand. The brand has been such a devalued, deflated infrastructure that being a member of FaZe, just you could live with it or live without it. Additionally, myself, I'm 31. I've never achieved the success of being on a tier 1 organization like FaZe, like a Liquid, like a Curse, like a TSM, but I've worked for many tier 2 and tier 3 organizations within battle royales, Overwatch, and other mediums as a content creator and influencer and a gamer. And I've also worked with MCNs as well. You got to understand, when a lot of this started, majority of us were between the ages of 13 and 15 before there was a legal tender age to compete, participate, and even make content. Some people were even younger. There's a big gap in a lot of content creators and influencers today, and more opportunities are available to them, but there's a lot more harm and a lot more issues and a lot more mouths in the ear telling you how to act, how to operate, how to work, and how to perceive yourself and do yourself. Some of it can be good, some of it can be good. It depends on the agency, the organization, and the relations for public and talent behind the scenes and stuff like that to influence and help you grow, generate, or develop as a content creator.
Think that you're helping out your creator, but you're not. You know, you think like even when you guys buy like the Batman comic, you think I'm getting a dollar from that even my face is on that? No. It's like they don't talk about that, and they're still not transparent with like who has how much shares.
And that's another big point I want to talk about. With licensing, brand deals, and using face and likeness and other information and documentation of that, you have to wonder the type of contract FaZe Rain is in, even as much as a original founding member having shares and stake in the company and stuff of that nature. A lot of the original contracts between MCNs, organizations, and players, as I referenced previously, were a rookie contract or a 5-year plan contract. And in those terms, because they legally could get away with it until 2019, when a lot of these laws were passed, majority of people had to deal with what was known as a in perpetuity through space and time and through the universe clause, which means if you were under contract, your name, your likeness, anything about you, including your content, is owned by us, and we can use it any way we so choose or see fit. And you do not have to receive royalties, reparations, pay, or anything of that nature with regards to your likeness and your ability. So him not receiving any royalties or reparations for a comic book that his name, his likeness, and his image is in must mean or imply, in my personal opinion, that he is under a contract in which they can use it. And for those of you that are like, how do you know this or how you can reference it? The biggest and most prime example I could use in today's market for a public figure that everybody in every form would understand is Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle cannot make another a Chappelle show because Comedy Central, Viacom, and all of their partners own him in perpetuity through space and time, which means the man doesn't even own his name, his likeness, and his image, and he can never do another Chappelle show because Comedy Central, Viacom, and all their partners own it. And when he performs in certain cases, scenarios, and situations, he will, for the rest of his life, have to pay them and give them money just to perform or use his name and likeness in anything. And it's a big issue. And there are other figures like that, and I won't go into it. I'll just say he was recently banned off social media and other content forms and platforms and everything else of that nature. But that prominent figure in the rap culture, the shoe culture, and the entertainment culture, he's another victim of this as well. And a lot of musical artists and stuff of that nature are also struggling with this. For example, we had the Free Britney movement. She was under conservatorship through her father, and he and her record company at the time owned her name and likeness through perpetuity in space and time. It's a very strong and very, very, very scary situation. And I'll explain some of it in simple layman's terms. It contains certain provisions which are designated and designed essential terms, including certain clauses that are expressed as essence of, states that breach certain provisions, constitutes a repudiation of the agreement. There are other trigger clauses and stuff that apply, but I'm giving you the short, simple version. You can look up these and everything else of that nature. Freedom of contract, there needs to be buyouts, stuff of that situation. Other examples, and determining whether or not it's legal, it's a very tough situation. It's very hard to get out of. But thanks to these new laws by the new laws by the TAA in California, in the entertainment and free agency act and stuff of that nature. There's new protections and there's new ways for people out of it. The issue is a lot of courts are refusing to see them because those cases could go on for a very, very long time, and they're a very, very struggling and trying case. So in the case of TFU, there was settlement, there was understanding and agreement to mutually part ways, settle money, settle differences. For a lot of that information and documentation, I'm sure it's still up on Spotify. You could check out Mom's Basement with Keemstar and FaZe Banks. It was an old talk show. FaZe talked about it for a lot of the time, and Banks and their CEOs and stuff. They talked about it for a long time on a couple of episodes on the Mom's Basement podcast on Spotify. For more details, you can check it out there for that example.
How much it's worth. They'll tell you, you have this much, it's good. There's just so much that I want to tell y'all, man. There's so much, and I will go detail for detail. I'm going to break it the fuck down. From the second I joined FaZe, I'm going to break down how everything went. Ask anybody also that knows me, ask them about my memory.
And with this, that's another thing. It's what we call good faith gestures, or what we now know as the trust us, bro. You know, my sources is trust me, bro. When these big wigs in these PR, in these marketing, in these advertising people, and even accountants to a certain extent, when they talk about this and they break it down for you and they break this information down and they say, hey, your shares are good, your money, your documentation, and everything else is valid and it's good. Trust us. And that's them taking what is known as a good faith clause and promoting it out there and telling you, you know, just show we got this. It's our job. Let us handle it. And you still see no return on your investment, then it becomes justified and it becomes a reason to question and overlook the best interest in this information and stuff being provided, in which by these prominent figures that are suits, accountants, PR, marketing, etc.
Really ask my memory. They might try to discredit me now, but they know that I remember everything. I can't help it. I can't help I'm built this way. I can't help that God made me this way. I will never fold. I will never be like you. I will never take a check. And it's so sad some of y'all are taking checks and deals and you're shutting your fucking mouth, even though you know this is fucked up and it's a lot less than what the fuck I already have. It's sad to me. It's like, no way I'm willing to give up more. Don't act like I'm still the old FaZe. A fat FaZe. I'm still living off fat FaZe Raid's money, okay? I obviously haven't had an income.
And that's another big telling symbol for him. He's old FaZe. He still believes in old FaZe. And for a lot of these new FaZe, in his terms, in his quotes, they're really taking away all these deals and they're taking the hush money and stuff like that to protect themselves and to protect what they believe is the shield and the logo. That's my personal take, and that's what I believe in the situation and what's going on in these efforts and in these plugs and in these documentations and things of that nature. While he wants to stand with the integrity and the old FaZe and what the symbol, the logo, and the advertising and marketing meant to him when his company had started and been pushed forward and was a brand just getting its roots and becoming something going down the road.
Or anything like that. So it's like easier for me, by the way, to just shut the fuck up, take the money, fix my life, deal with all my problems, and just be another NPC. But I just can't do it as a man, bro. I can't fold, bro. It would like make me feel terrible if I just said, you know what, yeah, I'll just take the money, give me my money, I'll shut the fuck up. You guys keep fucking over everybody. It's fine. I don't care. Whatever. Keep telling people you're gonna fix it, even if you're not gonna fix it. Like, no, I'm not doing that, bro. I wish I was Kanye. I could fall back on 400 M's. It'd be a lot easier to do this shit. But again, I'm probably gonna get sued out of this.
And he mentioned that prominent figure that I talked about. If you know, you know. I'm not going to say his name because I know YE or otherwise initials KW are a very controversial figure in today's current climate and everything else of that nature. Also leading into the next point, someone's sobriety should never be in question or never should be a topic of conversation when it comes to trying to better themselves, get what's justified and what's earned in their case. He mentions that he's been sober and that he is sober. Until we have a reason to take that and flip it and not believe in him, not have trust, or we have signals and we have things in effect that could lead us to believe that it's not the case and he is not sober, let's leave it at that, and let's trust the man and let's trust his word. Outside of that, if in fact the other side of the coin and the suits and the lawyers come out and say, well, we have in our contracts and our documentation paper that we do sobriety, we do health and drug tests and stuff of that nature. And at that time, they can provide the receipts, the evidence, and documentation and paperwork that clearly states that this man is not sober. Then we are well within our right to have an opinion, but we have to respect his words and his statement and his understanding that he is sober.
Things are probably going to happen. Dude, I don't care what happens as long as the truth is out and people get what happened and people understand and start understanding how these industries work. I think that it's already happened to so many other industries, and I don't want it to happen to this one. I think people like Aiden and Kai Cenat, they're still like giving hope. I love seeing it. Creators that are making, and Speed, of course, that are making so much money without any like agency around them by themselves. I love to see it. That is the beauty in a content creator. You don't need these fucking old people to dictate.
Though he is correct, and he does list off a lot of content creators that are currently and very popular right now, I will say, for a majority of them, they don't have any direction, any clear purpose, or any clear intent with their content. Additionally, some of them have fallen into hot water with recent statements or recent behavioral patterns or brand and sponsorship deals that they have personally taken themselves without any consultants, any guidance, any representation or assistance. While it's beneficial to go into business for yourself, become a brand, become an LLC, become a personable market where you are your own boss, it is very beneficial. I would recommend in some of these content creators' cases that they seek advisement, they seek counsel, or they have someone in their ball court that has some legal representation, documentation, action, authority, or privilege to provide consultation, assistance, and or help to avoid future incident or drama or problem. Shout out to these content creators who I personally don't watch or I personally don't enjoy. I am more of just a strictly gamer content creator. I like watching video games, esports, stuff of that nature. I have to respect their space, the way they've taken it by storm, their accolades, and their awards. But I do advise, based upon certain controversies, issues, or situations that have come up or arisen or rise as of late, we just got to do better as a whole. As all content creators and influencers, we are all held under a microscope. All of our personal lives, all of our stuff is filmed, documented. Our private lives really don't exist. So being on our best behavior and always putting our right foot forward is always going to be the best course of action with these situations and information. And while he is correct, I do say be careful, everybody.
Dictate what the fuck you do and take advantage of you just for money, man. You don't. And I've always hated it. I've always been against it. I don't want other people's money. I don't want investors. I don't want none of that shit. I don't, because you can just, FaZe had enough of a community to make money on its own, but they just don't think the way we do because they're not creators like us. They don't actually live this life. They'll go to the fucking warehouse, and then after that, they'll go do their boomer shit. They ain't watching videos. They're not paying attention to who's popping and why they're popping. They don't care. And you can bring up the drug shit. I don't give a fuck. If anybody who knows me knows I'm sober as hell right now, they know I'm.
So, as we just talked about, he mentioned this and stuff of that nature. But addressing the boomer shit, that's tough. Because technically, in your case, my friend, you are a boomer yourself, at least within the content creation space. But if you're referring to the boomers as in the management, the suits, and the other people of that nature, I'll agree with you in that respect. They don't understand. They don't pick up on trends. They don't pick up on everything else. Who's actually legitimately getting traction, viewership, legitimate engagement, interaction, sales, brands, everything else of that nature. They just take what is the general population of success, everything else, and try to make robotic identical clones of each and every input and action that's out there. You don't necessarily always have to partner with a champion, with a Nike, a FIFA, a Balenciaga, whatever else, what have you. You can find an independent.
And then after that, they'll go do their boomer shit. They ain't watching videos. They're not paying attention to who's popping and why they're popping. They don't care. And you can bring up the drug shit. I don't give a fuck. If anybody who knows me knows I'm sober as hell right now. They know I'm not on nothing. They know how my life's been. I don't care. Keep using that excuse to try to discredit me. Don't care. It is what it is, right? Let 3 months of my life define everything I've done over the last decade. It's fine. You can do you. Believe what you want to believe. I'm not here trying to convince you guys and make you guys be like, oh my God, I want you on my side. No, believe what you want to believe. If you think it's correct and you can understand that, well, it's just business and that's how business goes. Okay, cool. That's how you think and you're a piece of shit. That's it to me. You know what I mean? If you think it's fine for people who take advantage of people that obviously don't know business and just to take advantage of them and set themselves up in a place to where they can earn a lot of money and they can earn a lot of shares and get a huge exit while these people made it and did it and we're stuck to it. What happens if the...
Now, this part I both agree and disagree. With the people who hold a position of power, you should not have a stake in public opinion or offering what you say. You are right to have an opinion. You can offer your opinion, whether it may or may not be wrong, but in his personal eyes, he classifies it as a shit take and a shit opinion. Now, for the independent, the fan, the viewer, whatever else, if you side with these people, I'm not 110% sure if he's saying that your shit, whatever else, what have you. But we need a little more clarification because you don't want to divide your community and your supporters as well. You want to make sure that if you want people to unite behind you, unite behind the original old banner of FaZe and the old meaning and old purpose behind FaZe, that you don't further split, segregate, or mislead your community in a way where it seems like it's selfish or you're just angry and trying to prove a rant, because you're running on good points, you're running on good cylinders. Let's keep it focused, my friend.
Stock ends up, crashing. Who's it gonna fall on? Obviously not the motherfuckers in the back. It's gonna be like FaZe Rain, FaZe Epix, FaZe Alex, or Adapt or whatever. Like, and that's what it's gonna fall on. It's not gonna fall on them. It's gonna be on us. So we're gonna take the L for something we didn't fucking do again. So it's like
And he's very right in that. The suits, the people behind the scenes, the PR, the marketing, whatever else, they're not the ones who are going to suffer. They're not the ones who are going to be publicly shamed or have to don the scarlet A or the scarlet letter as a whole. These guys are going to be able to find new jobs. They're going to be able to work with other organizations, other brands, other companies. Hell, they might even say within the esports space. But it's the original founding members like Adapt, himself, and everyone else that are going to face this backlash and be the face of it. Hell, who even knows if even Banks at this point in time will even be ridiculed or have any of that issue, because he's so silent and he keeps to his own and rather much do his own thing outside of associating himself with the actual FaZe brand, even though for a long period of time he was known as the face of FaZe. That's my take on it, but I do agree. It's always the people who are known, original, founder, whatever else, what have you, even if they don't have official ties with the company anymore, or they're even within the organization anymore, they're still going to be held accountable and liable and blamed. I 100% agree with that part of the statement.
I'm sick of that. I'm so sick of that. It's like, I don't know, but it is what it is, right? I don't want to get annoyed. I have to stay calm. I always understand that I know what I'm talking about, but then my emotions let me, they take me to another place and I end up being wrong because of the way that I handle it. But I have to stay calm so that I get my point across. People understand it and they know that I'm not just emotionally, saying shit. Because that's what I don't like. I don't like just saying things to say. I have to mean it has to be 100% true. So yeah. That's where I'm at right now. I don't give a fuck. Y'all can turn on me. Y'all can do whatever y'all want to do.
So in summary and in TLDR, we broke down how Tfue, Save the Kids, the new generation and the evolution of content creation, and the implementation in addition of suits, corporations, brands, and PR marketing and advertising has ultimately led to the bastardization of what FaZe is, will be, and has become overall, and that a lot of these original content creators and influencers want to go back and have the old FaZe and the old company in which made them proud and that they were a part of, and now they're being pushed out, while the new wave is completely taking over and all they care about is the ones and zeros, the ratio, the bag, and the income, and don't have a one-to-one connection with their fans as well as people wanting to support and help them and work with this. While lastly, we're dealing with the struggles of older creators and influencers maybe timing out, maybe no longer being relevant, or maybe not even being included in the companies and the brands that they originally started in. While we want more and more younger, pretty, beautiful, well-looking, brand fresh, brand appropriate, brand marketable faces, while the sole purpose and the sole intent of why we all got into this was to create the content, to provide community, provide a space where people can feel belong, safe, like they don't have issues or problems, and then can enjoy gaming, a gaming culture, content creation through entertainment, comedy, and even skill through esports and everything else of the nature. And it's a dying and lost form of content on us. I'm very curious. This is my first video trying to make content like this, but as someone who's dealt with this, who has a background and history of taking bad contracts within the 5-year plan, within the overall rookie contract format and stuff of that nature, I thought I'd give my 2 cents. I thought I'd throw myself out there. All respect and all credit go to all members and parties and all websites used. I'll have documentation and paperwork in the description. And FaZe Rain, I hope you see this. I hope you give me some feedback. And everybody else, leave a like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe for more. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bullet Club Gaming 91, out.